In this video, a group of young people celebrates a birthday in a sauna. During the climax of the party, guests move to the pool. They pour 25 kilograms or 55 pounds of dry ice into the pool, and impressive steam immediately appears in the room. Guests jump into the pool. Everyone is having a lot of fun. The birthday girl, a famous Instagram influencer with 1 million subscribers, films it all on video. Her husband jumps into the pool first. Look, in this video he tries to jump out of the pool and shouts something to the guests. Everyone thinks it's such a joke, but in fact in this video he suffocates and asks for help. His wife, the birthday girl, was filming this moment on her phone and had no idea she was filming her husband's last seconds. In just a few minutes, guests will realize something has gone wrong. 3 people are pulled out of the pool dead. A fun party turned into a nightmare. But how could this happen? After all, the birthday girl was not only a blogger but also a pharmacist who studied chemistry at university. How could she not know that dry ice indoors causes suffocation? Is she to blame for this tragic incident? Valentin and Ecaterina Didenko were a happy married couple. At the time of the tragedy, he was 32 years old and she turned 26 that day. They had everything one could dream of: 2 children, Instagram with 1 million subscribers, popularity, and a good income. Their daughter was 5 years old then, and their son was 2. They really dreamed of a 3rd child, but their plans were not destined to come true. After school, Ecaterina entered medical university and graduated with honors, receiving a diploma in the specialty pharmacist. That's why she had to be good at chemistry and know what kind of chemical reaction dry ice could cause indoors. The girl worked in a pharmacy for some time, but one day she started a blog on Instagram telling subscribers how to cure a cold, take vitamins, assemble a home first aid kit, provide first aid, raise children, and much more. Her popularity grew from month to month. Many women took Ecaterina Didenko's advice and even bought training manuals from her. People liked her image as an ideal mother. At the time of the tragedy, Ecaterina and Valentin had been married for almost 10 years. They met back in their student years and loved each other very much. The husband worked as an engineer, but was very supportive of his wife's job. He often participated in filming for the blog and recently began to conduct chemical experiments himself. The couple realized that they must constantly hype for great popularity and good earnings. That's why they loved to do different experiments on camera. However, Valentin did not know chemistry well. Fortunately, his wife was always nearby to give advice. Just 3 months before the tragedy, Valentin bought dry ice and experimented with it on the street. It looked impressive and the clouds of steam looked beautiful in the photographs. The wife was delighted and the husband decided to continue his experiments. For Ecaterina's birthday, Valentin decided to surprise her. He bought several boxes of dry ice without her knowledge. That day, a married couple decided to celebrate the holiday in one of the saunas in Moscow. They invited all their friends, 18 people in total. The guests were young people under 30. Many of them were also bloggers, so they loved to hype and participate in unusual experiments. At the beginning of the party, young people had fun in the sauna. They ate, drank, and joked a lot. Ekaterina filmed all this on camera so she could later publish it on Instagram and show it to her subscribers. But at some point, the party reached its climax. Valentin said that he had prepared a surprise for his beloved wife. He invited her and all the other guests to the pool. Ekaterina did not understand what was happening, but she trusted her husband. Suddenly, Valentin and his friends, dressed in protective suits, brought dry ice to the pool and began to pour it. When spectacular steam appeared above the pool, he jumped into it first. The guests followed him. Ekaterina looked at it all and filmed it, but suddenly the guests realized that something had gone wrong. People who were the last to enter the pool began to get out of it and complain of suffocation. The one who suffered the most was Valentin himself, who spent the most time in the pool since he jumped into it first. He was taken out of the water half dead. His wife, who was trained in first aid, gave him artificial respiration and cardiac massage. Valentin came to his senses and was handed over to the doctors. However, sometime later, he passed away in intensive care. 2 other party guests also died. How sad that the guests of this fatal party did not know chemistry. Dry ice is carbon dioxide and is sold in briquettes and pellets. It comes in only 2 states, solid and gas. Typically, dry ice is used to freeze food, but it is also often used at parties to create an unusual atmosphere. Animators love to use dry ice at children's parties. Sometimes people throw dry ice into a swimming pool for fun, but this can only be done if the pool is outdoors. In this case, dry ice is considered safe. But indoors, it becomes a deadly poison. The dry ice in the pool turned into carbon dioxide, which ended up on the water surface. Therefore, people who swam in the pool could not breathe since there was no oxygen there. They began to choke and to drown. The last party guests to jump into the pool were rescued, but those who jumped first lost their chance. After the fatal party, a criminal case was opened. Investigators had to find out who was to blame for what happened. Of course, the birthday girl was the first to come under suspicion. She was a professional pharmacist and studied chemistry at university. Couldn't she stop her husband? However, Ekaterina stated that she knew nothing about the upcoming event since Valentin bought dry ice without her participation, and when he started jumping into the pool, she did not have time to understand what was happening. The company that sold dry ice also came under suspicion, but the sellers claimed they warned the customer of the possible danger and gave him detailed instructions on using it correctly. The instructions said that using dry ice indoors is strictly prohibited, but Valentin did not read the guide to the end because he was in too much of a hurry and did not think about the consequences. Thus, the culprits could not be identified in the actual story. All the blame ultimately fell on Valentin, who bought dry ice himself and conducted this dangerous experiment. His inconsolable widow cried a lot on camera in front of her Instagram followers. After this incident, another 500,000 people subscribed to her blog on Instagram. Also, the influencer and her friends were invited to a TV show where they gave interviews. Ecaterina showed her Instagram subscribers every detail: how she cremated her husband, how she went to a psychologist to cope with the loss, and how she participated in a TV show. Almost every day after the tragedy, she posted stories on Instagram where she talked about her life. She often defiantly shed tears on camera, but then suddenly announced that thanks to the psychologist, she felt better. Ecaterina Didenko's popularity grew, but she also received a lot of hate. People were outraged that she was hyping up the tragedy and did not seem sincere. The press even began to call her the Merry Widow. Indeed, Ecaterina Didenko quickly recovered from the tragedy, and 2 months after the incident, she threw a new party in honor of having enlarged her breasts. After the incident, Ecaterina also changed her clothing style, bought several cars, traveled a lot, and actively met new people. On her Instagram, she stated that she just wants to move on with her life and is looking for sources of serotonin. The dry ice tragedy happened on February 28, 2020, and already in the summer of the same year, Merry Widow began dating a new man who later became her new husband. She ran her Instagram blog as if nothing had happened and continued giving subscribers medical advice. Despite the great condemnation from others, her life has become even better. Ecaterina bought a large, expensive apartment in Moscow center and lives happily with her new husband and 2 children. Today, Ecaterina Didenko continues to give advice to subscribers of her blog on how to provide first aid. But what a pity she could not give her husband helpful advice 4 years ago, which would have helped him stay alive. And she also failed to provide him with first aid. Popular influencers' lives are based solely on hype and the desire to make money, but unfortunately sometimes in real life their advice and knowledge are useless for subscribers and even themselves. It's all for today, and thanks for watching.